Head and neck squamous cell carcinoma is sixth most cancer worldwide. Squamous
Dr.
cell
Divya,
carcinoma is.
we are not able to see your screen. Yeah, now it's visible. It's fine. Now we can see your
Head and neck
screen.
squamous cell carcinoma is the sixth most. Head and neck squamous cell carcinoma is the sixth most cancer worldwide, and squamous cell carcinoma is the most common head and neck squamous cell head and neck cancer, and it is the third most common tumor in India. And
can you do it on slideshow or just the whole?
Sorry for the interruption.
Slideshow, can you put it the whole screen? Yes. Okay, continue, Dr. Divya. I think you're not.
Is it clear now?
It is clear, but actually we are seeing all the slides. It is not on the slideshow mode.
Okay. Is it now? Hello?
You're not able to see this anything on the screen. Dr. Divya, we'll share your presentation, okay? Then you can start speaking, okay? We'll share presentation.
Okay, okay. Okay, okay. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Yes, now you can see.
And sorry for the interruption.
Yes, you can start now. Yes,
Okay,
please.
Okay, can you please show us the slide there? I have a problem from my side. Okay. So head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, it is the sixth most common tumor worldwide, and it is the third most common tumor in India. Risk factors, most common risk factors are tobacco, HPV, and smoking. Even though the number of cases have been reduced due to the decrease in the usage of tobacco and alcohol, however, over the past 20 years, the incidence of HNSCC in young patients has been increased, especially oropharyngeal squamous cell carcinoma. And this HPV-associated HNSCC, it differs from tobacco-associated carcinoma in terms of prognosis, recurrence rate, and location. HPV-associated head and neck squamous cell carcinoma most commonly involves tonsil, posterior one-third of tongue, and it has a good prognosis. However, there is a sparse literature for HPV-associated head and neck squamous cell carcinoma in India. Keeping this in mind, HPV-associated risk of HPV-associated head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, a separate category has been kept in new edition of AJJC. So HPV, it expresses oncoproteins like E6 and E7 by integrating their DNA into host cell nucleus. And A6, it induces loss of P53. And this loss of P53, shows the next slide. This loss of P53, which is a tumor suppressor gene, acts as a cell cycle checkpoint inhibitors adjuvant to S phase, and it also helps in DNA repair and senescence. If there is any DNA mutation, it will repair. If it is beyond the repair, then it will lead to the apoptosis of the cells. So in case of loss of 53, cell will undergo continuous proliferation with no control, as well as loss of apoptosis. And and also HPV causes increase in E7 expression, and this E7 will causes inhibits RB gene, which is the retinoblastoma gene. This RB gene normally in hypophosphorylated state, it attaches with the A2F, which is a transcription factor. So this A2F is required for the cell cycle progression from G1 to S phase. So in case of loss of RB gene, this A2 will be free, so it will act continuously. So cell will undergo uncontrolled proliferation. So in A2, in E7 inactivates RB protein, so cell cycle will undergo progression and cell growth. E7 also upregulates PTL1, thus inhibiting lymphocytic proliferation and cytotoxicity. And so E7 oncogene, it also causes overexpression of P16. So P16 is a cell cycle independent kinase inhibitor, and it helps in cell cycle regulation. P16, it selectively inhibits CDK4 and CDK6, which are cyclin D inhibitors, and it regulates G1 to S transition by phosphorylating RB gene. So in the picture, in normal condition, this G1 to S cycle is controlled by CDK4 and which is a cyclin D inhibitor. This P16, it acts as an inhibitor to this thing. So when there is a increase in P16, this cyclin dependent kinase inhibitor is blocked. So the cell will undergo continuous proliferation from G1 to S phase. This interaction between cyclin D1 and CDK4 is blocked by P15. So P15. Therefore, the cell undergo continuous proliferation. P16 is a surrogate marker for HPV detection by immunohistochemistry. Role of T cells in tumor. T cells, it plays a pivotal role in anti-tumor activity. Cancer cell escape immune system by down-regulating cytotoxic T cells. The effective activation, T cell receptor, it should interact with the major histocompatibility complex, and also it requires a co-stimulator signals like CD28. So, signal 1, which is produced by binding of T cell receptors in T cells along with major histocompatibility complex in the antigen presenting cells. This, along with this, it requires a signal 2, which is a co-stimulator signal by CD27 for the effective activation. This combination of signal 1 and signal 2, it is required for the transition of naive T cells to the activation of T cells, as well as for the differentiation and cytokine production. So if there is just a signal 1, then it will lead to the loss of, it will lead to the silencing or energy of the T cells. So the effective activation and differentiation, it requires both the signal 1 and signal 2. So in this co-stimulator signals like 28 is under control by co-inhibitory molecules like CTLA4 and PDL1 and PDL2. PDL1 is a programmed death ligand 1. So PDL1 is a member of B7 superfamily. It acts on the receptors like PD1, that is CD28, and B71, that is CD80. So PD1 is expressed by the immune cells like T cells, dendritic cells, macrophages, and B cells and NK cells. And PD-L1 is expressed by the dendritic cells, T cells, B cells, and also by the tissue macrophages in liver, kidney, lung, heart, and placenta. But PD-L1 has a limited expression in the normal tissues, but it can be induced on many solid and hematological cancers. The normal this induction in cancer cells is by two mechanisms. One is interferon gamma induced pathway, and other is oncogenic pathway. This interferon gamma induced pathway is by two cytokines like interferon gamma, TNF alpha, interleukin 2, and TGF beta, and VEGF. Whereas the innate immune resistance or oncogenic pathway is through EGFR, PIK3, AKT. So this is a slide. depicting the action of AGFR, which is the epidermal growth factor receptor. AGFR is a tyrosine kinase receptor transducer, PI3K. It transduces PI3K, which will further activate protein kinase B, AKT, which will further activate mTOR, helps in synthesis of protein and lipid synthesis. And AKT, it also has an negative effect on pro-apoptotic factors like BARD. So cell will undergo proliferation with loss of apoptosis. So this AGFR also activates STAT3, which is a signal transducer and activation of transcription factor. And AGFR also activates RAF gene. This further activates MAPK, which is a mitogen activated protein kinase. So cell will undergo progression. So Sabo et al. And Mann et al. Has documented the expression of epidermal growth factor receptor in 40 to 60% and more than 90% of head and neck squamous cell cases, respectively. So, in this head and neck squamous cell carcinomas, EGFR will be highly increased. This will further induces PD-L1 expression in the tumor cells. The effect of PD-L1 and PD-1 in T cells are interaction of PD-L1 to the PD-1 inhibits T cell receptor mediated T cell activation. Also causes apoptosis, energy of the effector T cells, and this will convert T helper cells and naive cells to the T regulative cells. T regulative cells, which is a peripheral disease tolerant cell, this further increases peripheral tolerance of the T regulative cells. So this is the cancer cell expressing PD-L1, and this is the immune cell T cells expressing PD-1. And this PD-L1 binding to the PD-1, it causes activation of immune suppression. For our immunohistochemistry, FDA has approved DACO22C3, DACO288, and Ventana SP142. Other validated markers which can be available, which are available in market, are E1L3N, which is a cell signaling product, and SP263. So the aim of our study is to evaluate the expression of PD-L1 in head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, and it also in order to assess and compare the immunohistochemical expression of PD-L1 protein in HPV positive and HPV negative cases. So total of 50 cases who underwent resection and biopsy for head and neck squamous cell carcinoma were included in the study. Histologically proven cases of HNSCC from oral cavity, pharynx, hypopharynx, and larynx were included. And patients who had undergone chemotherapy and or radiotherapy, and patients with cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma were excluded from the study. So all the cases were histologically confirmed. Demographics and clinical pathological data were recorded from the histopathology requisition form. And these cases were studied for PD-L1 and P16 expression using immunohistochemistry. So each cases was evaluated for staining intensity, percentage of tumor cells showing positive staining, and chi-square test has been applied to compare PD-L1 positivity in HPV positive and HPV negative cases. So this is the table showing a PD-L1 and P16 immune expression. PD-L1 and P16 immune expression, and so the previous slide, please. So this is the table showing PD-L1 and P16 immunohistochemistry. For PD-L1, we bought it from a cell signaling company, which is a rabbit monoclonal antibody, clone is E1L3N, in a dilution of 1:200, and we have used this EDTA as antigen retrieval. And positive control, we have taken tonsillective case for the PD-L1 immunohistochemistry. And for P16, we bought it from Thermo Fisher, and it's a mouse monoclonal antibody, clone 5A8A4. We used in dilution of 1:200, and For antigen level, we have taken citrate in the pH 6. And for positive control, we have taken cervical squamous cell carcinoma. Next slide, please. Okay. So sections on the isolated slides were prepared from the paraffin embedded blocks, and these sections, these slides were dewaxed in the xylene followed by descending rates of alcohol and then to water. Then antigen retrieval, we have used pressure cooker technique for two. We have run it for 20 minutes single cycle at 95 degrees Celsius using plus ADT buffer at pH 9. Followed by tris wash, which is a tris wash at pH 7.6 for 3 minutes, followed by blocking of non-isotopic region cell through H2 hydrogen peroxidase solution. We have prepared by 48 ml of methanol with 2 ml of 30% H2O2 hydrogen peroxide and kept it for 30 minutes. Then followed by tris wash again for 3 minutes, and then we have put a primary antibody and incubated for 30 minutes, followed by a tris wash again, and then secondary antibody. We have used a link conjugated and horseradish peroxidase. Each we have kept it for 10 minutes, followed by tris wash. Then chromogen, we have used diaminobenzene and kept it for 10 minutes, followed by counter staining for 1 minute. And then slides were again passed through the ascending grades of alcohol, followed by xylene, and then we have mounted with the TPX. So for the interpretation of PDL1, we have considered when the tumor cell is more than 1%, when more than 1% of tumor cell showing membranous positivity with or without cytoplasmic staining, we have taken that as positive. And the tumor cells showing just showing cytoplasmic positivity or no reactivity, we have considered that as the negative cases. So for the P16 immunostaining, when we have considered when more than 70% of tumor cells showing moderate to diffuse nuclear and or cytoplasmic staining as a positive, and P16 positivity has been considered as a few positive cases. So percentage of PDL1 staining cells, we have categorized from under score 0 to 4. Score 1, we have taken when tumor cell is showing when less than 1% of tumor cell showing PDL1 staining, and score 1 when 1 to 10% of tumor cell showing PDL1 staining. Score 2 when 11 to 24% of tumor cell showing PDL1 staining. Score 3 when 26 to 50% of tumor showing PDL1 staining. Score 4 more than 50% is still showing PDL1 staining. And staining intensity, we have categorized as score 0 to 3. Score 0 when it is negative, score 1 B, and score 2 when it has a moderate staining, and score 3 when it is a strong staining. So most of the patients in our group were under the range of 28 to 75 years, and median age were median age of the patients were 49 years. So this is the graph showing age-wise distribution of head and neck squamous cell carcinoma patients. Maximum number of patients were in the age group of 30 to 39, followed by 50 to 59 years of age. So majority of them are males, like 44 are male and 6 were female. So most of the patients had a carcinoma in the tongue, followed by buccal mucosa. Carcinoma, 42% of cases were from tongue, 22% of cases from buccal mucosa, 6% of cases from epiglottis, 8% of cases each from soft palate and tonsil. 2% of cases are from hard palate, lip, vocal cord, rib, molar trigone, and mandible and larynx. Next, please. Next, please. So majority of the patients were moderately differentiated, like 92% cases. Please next, please. 92% of cases were moderately differentiated, followed by 6% of cases PDCC, that is polydifferential squamous cell carcinoma. Then just 2% of cases were percentage of cases were well differentiated squamous cell carcinoma. This is the picture showing well differentiated squamous cell carcinoma. You can see a keratin pulse and well differentiated mild to moderate pleomorphism. Next slide. So this is the moderately differentiated squamous cell carcinoma. Just two areas. Next slide. So this is the polydifferentiated squamous cell carcinoma. You can see these highly pleomorphic cells, and we couldn't see any keratin here. So we have categorized this as polydifferentiated squamous cell carcinoma. So this is the IHC staining showing weak membranous. You can see a membranous, weak membranous with a few cytoplasmic staining in all the tumor cells. We have categorized it as a weak intensity score 1. Next slide, please. So this is the picture showing moderate membranous and cytoplasmic staining in majority of the tumor cells, and this is the inset showing the same membranous, moderate membranous and cytoplasmic staining. Next, please. So this is a picture showing a strong membranous and cytoplasmic staining, and the inset showing the same. We have categorized this as staining intensity score 3. So this is the graph showing PD-L1 expression in head and neck squamous cell carcinomas. So 33% of cases were under were showing PD-L1 staining less than 1%. So we have categorized that as score 0 in both staining as well as in PD-L1 expression. Next, please. So 34% of cases were showing score 0, 26% scored score 1, 14% under score 2, and 12% under score 3. And 14% under score 4. So staining intensity of PD-L1 tumors we have categorized as negative, weak, moderate, and strong. And in all the negative PD-L1 staining cases, staining intensity showed 0. And in 22% of cases, it had weak staining. 34% of cases showed moderate staining, and 10% had a strong staining. So this is a IHC showing PD-L1 staining in the tumor cells as well as in the inflammatory cells. As you can see here, this tumor cells showed well membranous and few cytoplasmic staining, and in tumor majority of them are showed membranous staining, cytoplasmic staining with along with membranous, few showing membranous staining as well. So we have made 2 by 2 chart showing correlation of PD-L1 in tumor cells and in mononuclear inflammatory cells. In all the we have got PD-L1 staining in mononuclear cells in 38 tumor cell cases. Sorry, so in 38 cases we got positive PD-L1 staining in mononuclear inflammatory cells. Among these 38 cases, 28 showed a PD-L1 staining in tumor cells, and 10 had a negative, 10 had no PD-L1 staining in tumor cells. Among 12 PD-L1 negative staining in mononuclear inflammatory cells, 5 showed positive PD-L1 staining in tumor cells, and 7 had no staining in the tumor cells. So this is the P16 immunostaining. It should show we have taken moderate nuclear Unfollowed cytoplasmic staining in more than 70% of cases is a positive criteria. So here we can see majority of them had a nuclear staining, but to show cytoplasmic staining. So this is a moderate staining. We have grouped under moderate category. Next, please. So this is a strong nuclear and cytoplasmic staining in majority of the tumor cells. You can see majority showed a nuclear staining here. So in our study, we got 30% of cases showed had a P16 positivity and 70% had no P16 staining. So, and we have correlated between P16 and PD-L1 staining, and we found, next slide please. So correlation of PD-L1 and P16. Among the 15 P16 positive cases, just 9 cases showed PD-L1 positivity, and in 6 cases of in other 6 cases, it had no PD-L1 staining. So among 35 P16 negative cases, 24 showed PD-L1 positivity and 11 had no staining. So among this, we can see 9% of cases, 9 cases showed both P16 positive and PD-L1 positivity. Correlation has been done with the chi-square formula, and we found no significant statistically significant correlation. So we found p-value 0.318. So in our study, PD-L1 expression was found in 66% of head and neck squamous cell carcinoma. In the literature, PD-L1 expression were seen in the range of 45 to 80% of cases. So this is in concordant with the previous literature. So there is a hope that in the near future we can use anti-PD-L1 antibodies in unresectable tumors and in recurrent carcinomas. So in our study, we have found 30% of head and neck squamous cell carcinoma cases were also showed a P16 positivity, that is HPV-associated head and neck squamous cell carcinoma. This is in similar to the study done by Murthy et al. In India, who found P16 positivity in 20% of cases. Whereas studies done outside India showed higher P16 positivity. So this difference might be due to racial, genetic, and sexual activity also. So, but our study failed to show any significant association between PD-L1 expression and HPV expression. So this is similar to the study done by Kim et al. Who also cannot found a significant association between HPV and PD-L1 expression in the next squamous cell carcinoma. Their p-value was 0.274. Limitation of our study: we have taken a small sample size. Our sample size is 50, and we have cutoff value. We have taken 1% as a criteria to define PD-L1 positivity. But in in the literature, there are various cutoff used by the various authors. Like have taken 5% as cutoff, 1%, 10, 25 also. So we cannot. There is no standard criteria to define this negative and positive cases. And also there is a this PD-L1 can show tumor heterogeneity. So this might show different or variable expression of PD-L1 in primary tumors and recurrent tumors and in metastasis. This was a reference I've taken for the study. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Divya. It was a very nice presentation and a nice study. Participants, if anyone has any question. Okay, if there are no questions, then I have one query, Dr. Divya. Did you encounter any intratumoral heterogeneity in your immunostaining?
Yes, we have. Actually, we have studied in FNAC also, and we have found the same cases. Initially, the patient with showing positive PD-L1 in HISTO, but in FNAC metastasis cases, they failed to show PD-L1 expression. So we couldn't correlate whether it is HISTO or FITO. So there is a discrepancy in HISTO and as much as metastasis from the FNAC. there is this tumor heterogeneity we have encountered.
Did you see any correlation between the histological grade and PDL1 expression? Like you told that there were some 6 pieces
No,
of
we failed to.
Yes.
We failed to correlate with the grade, age, sex. There is no. We couldn't get a significant correlation between age or a grade with the PDL1 expression. So we didn't get a significant correlation.
Okay. Anyone else would like to ask any questions, or should we move to the next presentation? Okay, so we'll move to the next presentation, and